Hello and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence,
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
and today we're talking about the movie Spiral. Welcome, rewinders and new listeners. If you don't know who we are the co-authors of the Science of Horror book series. And thank you for joining us. We talk about old movies sometimes, we talk about new movies, we talk about mainly newer books, right, Meg?
Yeah, sometimes I go and talk about older books, but yeah, I usually try to talk about things that have, been released somewhat generally newer.
Yeah. There
Although
you
new is relative at our age. I mean,
yeah.
maybe I am a what is it, a geriatric millennial now? So
Yeah.
what do I know about new?
Uh I I don't know. It's interesting. I always think it's ironic. It feels ironic that if you're 35, it's considered a geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah. They just throw that word around, don't they?
Yeah, I love it.
Not caring about how anybody feels.
No, it's fine. We're fine. But we did grow up in the 80s and
Yes.
we do love our old horror movies, but we like to see new ones and TV shows. I want to throw TV shows in there too because there's so many great streaming series and network series like what a great time for horror.
Yeah, it is. We're spoiled. Like I can literally sit down and just be like, what horror movie am I going to watch today that I've never seen? And just think about when it was the only access we had was like going to the video store and
I know.
watching kind of what they had, like the same things over and over. Although I feel like watching the same horror movies over and over kind of has informed us as like creative people, because I don't know about your kids, but my kids tend to watch a movie once, maybe two or three times if they really love it. But there's so many movies for them to watch, and I don't think they watch things on repeat as much as we used to.
No,
And maybe
that's
that,
true.
kind of like affects, I don't know, how they're going to be creative in a way.
I think I agree. And because when I rewatch something, I notice new things and then it's like layered. I'm like, oh, that's why the writer did it this way, or that's why the director shot it this way, or that's why, the
Yeah,
pacing and things. And do you pick up on those things if you don't rewatch something? I don't know.
I don't know. And especially like now, I don't rewatch things as much as I did when I was a kid. I mean, I literally would watch a movie and then rewind it and just watch it again.
Yep.
And I don't have time to do that now, but it's definitely true. Like if I just watch something for a second time, that I'm like, oh, yeah, I picked up on that.
Yes. I love it. I love it. So I think we may have seen the first Saw movie together in the theater. Do you have this
Did we?
memory?
I was trying to remember when it came out. I'm
Look it
gonna
up.
Google it right now.
And I think we saw it in the theater together, if memory serves. And I think I've seen all the Saw movies. Have you seen all the Saw movies?
Yes, I've seen all the Saw movies. No, now it's saying Spiral. 2004
Yeah, so we
was the
saw it
first.
together.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's the year I got married.
Yes. And now Spiral just opened last week, if you're listening to this when this airs. And it's only 39% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, that's interesting. Well,
Yeah.
it's been fun to see the polarizing of it, because even like the writer was pointing out, like on his feed he saw like people being like, this movie needs an Academy Award, and then literally the next person's like, this movie is trash and it's the worst Saw movie ever. And so that kind of interested me, because I'd rather go see a movie that's polarizing than like meh, like
Yeah.
everybody's kind of like, it was fine. It seemed like people were on either end of the spectrum, so that intrigued me to want to see it more.
No, that's true. And also, I think some people were mad because it was a departure from the typical setup of a Saw movie. It felt
Mhm.
like I was comparing it to it felt like Seven in a lot of ways
Yeah,
because of how it was set up and it moved throughout different spaces and places. Whereas, many of the Saw movies
yeah,
are just one setting.
that's true. It's usually in the first one there is that cop perspective, and obviously, I mean, there's cop perspective
Yeah.
throughout, but this definitely was more like Luke was saying, he was reading an article about how like Chris Rock's character is like the most fleshed out character in Saw, like other than Jigsaw himself.
Oh yeah.
And like it was really about his journey through all this. And so there was that element that made it feel different. Obviously, there was no Jigsaw element. And then, yeah, it did feel like Seven. It was that's a great way to kind of compare it because it had that gritty, like everything sucks feeling.
Yeah. Now, I was thinking about, because we write about science topics and horror, I was thinking about pain tolerance and, could you rip out your own tongue to avoid dying, Meg? But at the same time, we push children out.
That's true. That's true. But here's my problem. Like, they don't have enough time to think about it. And you know me, like I like to think about things. Like I need to like process this information.
Meg,
like
you would be dead.
I would be dead because I'd be like, well, like I have to overthink everything. So I'd be like, well, is it worth pulling out my tongue? How much is this gonna hurt? Like, are people gonna be here to help me when this is like I would be still thinking about those things when I'm hit by the train. So like I feel like I feel like this one in particular was really fast. They didn't have any time to think about it.
No, that's true.
I know that's kind of the element. That's the scary element. But like the guy, there's so many great traps in this, but I like the finger pulling one.
Yeah.
And then that sucks because like he did it, but then he didn't do it fast enough. That would definitely be me. What about you? Do you think you could do it? I think you would do it.
I think I could. I wouldn't like it, but I could do it.
Yeah.
And that comes from thinking about my second child being born, and there wasn't time for an epidural, and there was literally no time to even think about it. It was like, she's coming happening right now, you have to do it. And it was like, wow, that sucked. But
but yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It would be fascinating to do a study, and like obviously we don't want to do a real study, but it'd be interesting to see like what people would be willing to do to save their lives. And like for me too, I'd be like, is this real? Like I feel like I wouldn't even like believe it's happening. I just feel like there's not enough time.
Yeah. Well, think about the guy who cut off his own arm when he was trapped by that boulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
People do it.
We're able to like do these things. And yeah, it's true. Like childbirth happens every day. And that's like pretty freaking amazing. So
I was looking up reasons why some people can tolerate pain better than others. Apparently athletes or people who are active can tolerate more pain than people who are couch potatoes. People who
looked right at me when you said that.
Sorry. No, we're active. We go for a walk every day.
Look. Yes, I
know. People who smoke have less and drink alcohol have less tolerance for pain than people who don't.
Really?
Yeah. But I feel like people who drink alcohol, or maybe just when they're really drunk, they
can handle it. Yeah, you didn't ask me if I was in the trap and I was completely wasted.
Yeah, well, rip out my tongue. It's fine. Get me another beer.
Yeah, it's fine.
It sanitizes the wound.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? Oh, I can't remember now off the top of my head. Go check out our TikTok. I've talked about it there. But yeah, certain people are wired to handle pain better than others.
That makes sense to me. I mean, and especially like the active thing, because like if you can like push yourself to be like an athlete or something, like I'm sure Michael Phelps could handle some shit that I could not handle.
This sounds like a sketch that should be on SNL. It's like testing different famous people to see if they're...
Yeah, it makes sense.
So
and there's that disease, like people who can't feel pain.
Oh yes.
Which I mean is bad because then they like sit in weird positions and like there's all this stuff that's bad for them, But that would be interesting having them in a saw trap. They'd be like, this ain't
so
nothing.
What? Yeah. Yeah, that would be very frustrating to Jigsaw or whatever villain is out to get them. I appreciated some of the peripheral characters in Spiral. The Was she the chief of police? She's from Riverdale.
Yeah, that was cool. She's a woman of color, and she was like
Yes.
all badass and yelling at Chris Rock right in his face and
Yeah, that
stuff.
was fun. And then what is his name on the on Handmaid's Tale? Is his name Max?
Oh, his real name is Max.
Oh, well, sorry.
You
I
must
don't
know him on a first name basis.
Yeah, well, Max was in it and he was great.
Yeah, he's a cutie. He's a cutie.
I'm like blushing because I'm just thinking about him. Sorry.
In Handmaid's Tale. I know. See, the problem is with like it's casting is important, and it's like you see him, you're like, well, hi, because
I
like,
know.
think about him in Handmaid's Tale, but then whoa, spoiler alert,
Yeah,
he's
it was
not so good.
it was good. It was a nice twist, and Samuel L. Jackson was fun. I thought Chris Rock's opening monologue was really funny.
Yeah, it was
The Forrest Gump thing, and it was just like it was perfect casting. I wonder if they wrote it with him in mind, or if he brought a lot of that to the character. You know, I'm curious.
So Luke told me that the story goes that Chris Rock met a producer like at a party and was like, I love the Saw movies and I have an idea.
Oh,
so he's like been in it from the very beginning, and he was always going to be that character and everything.
Okay, well then that makes 1000% sense.
Yeah, because it feels like him, you know. But it was cool to see him like in a, you know, where he was funny sometimes, but he also was like super serious. And I said to Luke, I'm like, I read that he's 56. I'm like, he looks really good for 56. And I'm like, is Samuel L. Jackson even old enough to be his dad? And he's like, Samuel Jackson's like 80. And I'm like, he looks really good for 80.
Wait, how old is Samuel L. Jackson?
80. Like almost
no.
80. Yeah, no, I'm looking it up. Looks like he's like 80. I'm like, okay, wait. Samuel...
We were just talking about geriatric, and we're considered geriatric?
I know, right? Yeah. Okay, he's like 75.
Well, that's very impressive.
He's 72. Luke said he was almost 80.
Jeez, see, this is why we have to fact check.
I know, I shouldn't believe anything he says. Speaking of, I got to watch this movie with Luke, and he is obviously a big what's the proper word? Baby?
Scaredy cat?
Or a scaredy cat? It was so funny. Like, it was my favorite part because he literally used his mask to cover his eyes several times.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he was like, I'm using this, and he really did. And like he kept swearing and saying like, why, like no, why, and then he would cover his eyes, so that was really fun. So I love watching somebody watch the gore because I'm smiling through it and I love it.
You have to tell the audience about your movie theater experience and the last time you've been in a movie theater.
So the last time I've been to like a big huge movie theater was Invisible Man with you in February of 2020.
Yeah.
And so we felt comfortable going to the movies. We're both vaccinated. So we were like, let's go. And we were in the Twin Cities. We were in, you know, which is way bigger than where we live in Rochester. And so we went to this beautiful, huge theater, and it was like dead in there on a Saturday night. And we had the entire theater to ourselves.
That's amazing.
It was so weird. I was like, oh no, I hope Spiral's okay. And it was fine. It was #1 in the box office, so I'm not worried about it. But I don't know where everybody was. It was a nice day out, I guess. I don't know. But it was nice because we were able to like react to everything loudly. We weren't trying to be polite Minnesotans. And Luke was, reacting to the gore, which I love. And he for some reason, like, loves the Saw movies, yet he can't get through the gory parts, which to me is like the whole freaking point.
Well, yeah.
So I don't know.
That's interesting. I don't know what it is. And some people, like I've seen these TikToks, some people have such weak stomachs that if you just make a gagging noise behind them, they start to gag. You know, so there's those people who can't handle even the sound of something.
Wow.
There's us, you and I, who can handle, I mean, I can handle anything in a movie, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go look at a
I'm
bleeding wound on the street.
no, if it's real, like then I'm gonna be a big baby, I'm sure. Thankfully, I haven't been through too many things or have like witnessed that, but yeah, when it's a movie, I just enjoy it so much. And it's just funny that people like my husband are just like, I don't know, he gets so upset.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. So listen, let's rank this movie and then I want to talk about a couple other things. So we have to
Okay.
rank it on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being we hated it, 10 being we think it's a perfect movie. What's the scale? It's got to be those finger pull ones, right?
Oh yeah, like finger traps.
Yeah. So how many finger traps do you give Spiral?
I'm gonna give it 7. I enjoyed it. I like the gore. I like how it was from the Book of Saw, so it was like not really a Saw sequel, but it was like its own thing. Um, but at the same time, it wasn't like it didn't bring me to this like holy shit level of like my mind was just blown. Um, but I was singing the Saw theme for like a full 24 hours after, so I enjoyed it.
I was going to give it exactly the same 7 because, um, yeah, it's a fun horror movie. It's not my favorite
Yeah,
of the Saw movies, but it was fun.
it didn't pass the Bechdel test, I don't think.
I know. I kept saying, wait, this character could have been a woman. This character could have been
Yeah.
a woman. It was a diverse cast, but there weren't a lot of women.
Yeah, I was gonna say there were a lot of people of color, but yeah. And I tend to notice, and this is from 7 too, that women's traps tend to be about vanity. Just putting it out there.
Yep.
Just an interesting thing to note. But that trap was really cool, but at the same time, just interesting.
I know.
But I want to see a Saw where it's like I guess Shawnee Smith was helping out, but I want like a female Saw who's just like going after like rapists or something.
Yeah.
And I said to Luke, I'm like, when's the Saw happening where they like rip a dude's dick off? And Luke's like, my God, they have to have some like there has to be some line they don't cross. I'm like, no, I want to
No,
see it.
that's what we really want. Let's
Yeah.
go. Maybe we should
Let's-
write that one,
Let's
Meg.
write it.
Chris Rock made it happen. We'll make it happen
Yeah.
for ourselves.
We're just like a whole bunch of bros get their dicks
Yeah.
ripped off. Like it's just the same
From the
soundtrack.
book of Saw, Dick Ripper.
They all deserve it though. I want to make that clear.
Ugh. Okay, so now if you're still listening and you want to see us live in person, talk about dicks
Oh.
getting ripped off, come see us in New York City on
Yay!
June 15th.
Yes.
So we will be in New York City on Tuesday, June 15th at Caveat. It's this really cool science bar venue. We're going to be talking about our 2 latest books, The Science of Women in Horror and The Science of Stephen King, which both came out in 2020 and both book tours had to be postponed for pandemic reasons.
Yes. So this is so exciting that we get to go back there because we did an event there once before and it was so fun. And it's just like the perfect venue. I mean, who knew there was like science nightclubs in the world, but we get to like have a cocktail and talk about science and horror. And we really would love to see all of you there. It's a fun time. We're going to be kind of going over highlights from both of our books. We're going to have trivia. We're going to have a Q&A. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So come out and there are prizes for the trivia. So if you're a big horror fan, we think you've got a good shot at winning some prizes because we have horror themed questions. We're going to be teaching you about science, but we're horror movie nerds.
Yes, of course. And we also love to talk about the history of horror and all that stuff. So, and also I think it's kind of cool that they're making sure that everyone's vaxxed. You have to prove with your paperwork that you have the vaccine in your bloodstream.
Yes, science. It's
science. So I think that's awesome. And I'm just thrilled to be traveling again and just being out in the world again. It's so fun.
Oh, I know. I can't wait. So also the last time we were both on a plane was after we saw The Invisible Man, because we saw it in
Yes.
Atlanta and we flew back. So what a world, what a world.
I know.
Speaking of travel, though, there are more things that are going to be announced, but the next one that we want to let you know about is for our next book, The Science of Serial Killers. Will be in LA in October. That one is Saturday, October 16th at Dark Delicacies.
Yes. Dark Delicacies has such a wonderful tradition of having horror authors, and I've only heard good things about the people who own the place and work there. And I already said I'm like going to have to bring an extra piece of luggage to go, because I know they're going to have so many things I want to buy there. And it sounds like the neighborhood is awesome and there's lots of cool shops. I'm so excited.
Yes, so come and see us. I mean, in New York or LA or somewhere in between as we announce things. But it's like the world's opening up again.
Yay! I know it's all strange and everyone's still trying to figure it out. And I'm just, obviously no one would wish the pandemic had happened. It's horrible. It's caused so much pain. But if we can see a silver lining of that, we appreciate life a little bit more, and that we appreciate the small things, like just being out. And this past weekend we were out in a beer garden and we were like talking to everybody in line, because everybody was just so happy to be out in the sunshine and drinking beer and still being responsible, but just having fun. And I feel like maybe a lot of us can appreciate the smaller things a little bit more. So
I agree. And
yeah.
I think that we are, I think it's all a good thing. I can't even form any thoughts, because I just feel like it's finally happening. Everything's happening.
Yep. I know. It's nice to see. I went to a baby shower, like things are getting back to normal. Those were things that we couldn't even do. I mean, I'm just so happy. And I was nice to see Spiral in the theater. I'm looking forward to, I hope the next horror movie I go see in the theater, there's actually people there in the theater, so I actually get the experience.
So I think the next one that we'll go see is A Quiet Place 2.
Oh yes. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're going to go to that as well. And I did not see Army of the Dead. Are you going to see that?
I don't know. I feel like maybe I need to watch. I don't even know if I've watched the trailer.
I haven't either. I don't know why, but
I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to watch a trailer and I'll report back to you.
Sounds good. Well, listen, friends, whatever you're reading, whatever you're watching, we hope that you are well and staying safe. We are going to see you out in the world. Follow us. We're on all the social media. We have a TikTok now that, like I said, that we're sharing some science and horror facts every day. So that's fun. And yeah, get out there and enjoy life safely.
Yes, with that caveat always. Yeah, I mean, this is the time to be a horror fan right now. I think cons are starting up again. Like, woohoo!
Yes. Okay, stay tuned, friends, for more news of where we'll be and what we'll be up to. Until then, we'll see you in the horror section.
Bye.